a number of things that are going to keep changing in relation to the cell phones or tablets that we use and need to be considered by the manager of this process. There are things like upgrades to the app that we are using for collecting data. And we have had cases when there are different versions of the app working on different mobile phones, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So making sure that there is an up-to-date and the same version of the app on all the cell phones that go to the field is important, and we've seen cases when that has not been considered. Battery time is important too, and there are plenty of solutions, but needs to be considered. As technology advances and the price of cell phones is coming down, it's interesting that one of the things that gets upgraded is the camera of the cell phone. And very quickly we're getting to size of photographs by default that are extremely large and that take a long time uploading to the server if we are not careful to reduce this resolution. But in most recent phones, what date is today? Today is July 2015. The lowest resolution that I have managed to set up on a cell phone has been 2.5 megabytes per picture, which is huge, and that is going to pose a challenge when we use photographs as part of our data collection. Recently I was working with a colleague in Bolivia who said, Carlos, these tablets are not working and they really don't do GPS coordinate reading, and that's not possible. They actually do read GPS coordinates. The fact is that sometimes, depending on where you are and the availability of satellites, they take longer to register the satellite and get the GPS coordinates. And what happened in this particular case is that when they programmed the phone, the information for GPS was right at the beginning of the interview. They tried to read the GPS, and it took 4 or 5 minutes, and the interviewer was getting impatient, interviewee was getting bored, and they opted to skip that very important piece of information because it was not being recorded on time. We are learning, and now we know that that type of information should be recorded outside the time that is spent with the interviewee. And so it probably should be done right at the end of the interview once one has said goodbye.
The other thing is obviously the platform you're aggregating to, and there are open source solutions, there are paid for solutions, and there are freemium solutions. We're currently using ONA.io, which has a freemium model. We would recommend at the moment that ODK standard, for which there are many people using that standard to different platforms, would be a very sensible standard to go to because it allows you a range of options. So if one company goes out of business, there will always be another where you can aggregate to.
Something that is important is that they tend to be temporary. They tend to be evolving quite fast, and the type of services that are available are changing over time. So we as managers of data collection processes need to be aware of that and need to keep up to date. We had a serious problem with the server not working just at the beginning of an important data collection process. We had to be ready to replace it, and that required a significant amount of effort and a significant amount of IT knowledge on one of the members of our team. And that is unforeseeable, but it's predictable. And so we need to be prepared to face that. There are other things on the infrastructure side, and one of those is to do with communications, and so far is working really well through mobile networks and through Wi-Fi networks, and that's fine when they work.
With a data bundle or data package on your phone, you've got the added ability to upload as soon as you're happy that it's ready to go. So the advantage of uploading regularly, if you can, Security of data, obviously, it's no longer not only on the phone, but it's up on the cloud. So, but you can see where people have gone. You can be downloading the data or visualizing it on the platform if you have that facility. And if you know you're going to collect 10 questionnaires from this village, you can see that on a map, and you've only got 8, and the last submission was 4 days ago. You might want to start phoning your supervisor or your team leader and say, why have you only got 8 from this village? And you could spot that during a survey. In a way, you can't do with paper forms. So I would encourage people to put a data package onto their phone. Increasingly difficult to find areas where cell phone coverage isn't there. Or you can, Nepal was one area where that was the case.
We had a data collection in Nepal where it was not possible to get internet communication either through cell phones or through Wi-Fi, and the whole field work took place before we were able to get to a place where the data was possible to upload to the server.
But it's incredible where cell phone coverage now goes. I haven't lost data as far as we know. Little bit in Nepal, I think there were a few that weren't uploaded. I think a bit over 4,000, I think it was 5 records.